Perfect. Perfect. Welcome to Dirty Fanatics.
Atlanta, what is up? DFU here with episode 138. And don't be alarmed. I know there's a missing face on the page right now. Chase is on the way. Give him 20 minutes. I'm your boy, Rick James, kind of taking over hosting for the day. Going to guide us along. We got a lot of great topics to talk about. Of course, we always got Cody the Killer with us. We got Philip in the building, and we got our special guest. If you've been on Twitter, you've seen some of his comments, some of his content. Pretty strong, Mr. Bro Talk. Welcome to the party.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely. So we're going to go around the circle real quick, kind of talk about your day, see what you have going on. For me personally, I got a 7-year-old birthday coming up, so I've been focused on getting all the Hello Kitty and the Pokemon stuff, everything I can possibly get. Get the Amazon boxes before they open them and try to hide them in my closet. And then trying to keep up with any of the news coming out with the Falcons, especially that last 2 weeks. I've noticed in the past couple of years, the last 2 weeks, the names they kind of put with the Falcons and who's going to draft, we usually end up drafting that person, right? Mm-hmm. I think Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Jake Matthews. When I saw it, Lindstrom, that's the person they end up drafting. So I'm kind of watching closely to see who that common theme person is because that person might come up, except for that Michael Penix guy, which actually kind of worked out. Cody, what's going on with you, brother?
Oh man, just getting adjusted to a new job. I'll tell you what to say. So it's been pretty busy moving from Nissan over to Honda, figuring out all the different, car parts are car parts, but just different things and at the work and all that wonderful stuff. So we're getting there. Let's say getting it figured out, but just rocking and rolling, man. Let's say happy to be here talking Falcon football again. It feels like it's been forever, boys.
I know it has. Philip, what's going on, brother?
Not a whole lot.
Power, weather problems.
We're doing pretty good right now. Everything's looking pretty good, man. Maybe nothing happens tonight. I don't know. But, other than that, just, breaking down the news, what's going on this week. Seeing Julio retired. It's a tough one, but hey, enjoy your retirement, King. You do you, man. And yeah, pretty much.
I was going to ask you if that jersey you're wearing is a little preview, something you got to say. That number 11.
We'll save it. We'll save it till the topic.
Bro Talk, you might have a new audience here. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your Twitter, what you got going on, and what you're about, brother.
Oh, man. I'm sure if you're in the Falcon space on Twitter, you've seen me. I'm kind of on the other spectrum when it comes to Falcon creators. It's kind of a hard divide when it comes to creators that are very I don't want to call them negative, but on that spectrum, I'm a little bit more on the positive side. And sometimes, I get a little bit of a grief. Delusion is what I get called a lot of the times. I just like to try and believe in what the office is doing. And granted, I don't agree with everything, right? But I like to speak my mind and I like to keep a positive outlook because, it's been tough. It's been tough for almost, 8 years? 8 years for Falcon fans. You got to have some positivity somewhere just to get you out of the rut that we're all in. So that's what I try and provide in all my my spaces. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. I post daily on TikTok, not just Falcons, but NFL as a whole, because I love the sport. I love talking football. I love breaking down film, but I love my Falcons even more.
That's it.
I love it. I think we're all in the same boat. This whole podcast is on the positive end as well. And, man, I tell Falcons fans all the time, I spend 6 months of my life looking forward to football. And I'm going to be bent out of shape that whole time. Because let me tell you, when you're diehard and you're bent out of shape about the Falcons, me personally, I don't watch any football. I'm just like, my team's losing. I don't care nothing about the Chargers. I don't care nothing. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I just try to say, I'm going to be bent out of shape that day. I'm gonna walk out of the stadium cussing everybody out. Once I get in my car, I listen to Mike 92.9. I'm like, all right, cool. Now I can go home and enjoy Sunday Night Football. So I think it's better just live positive. You know, we're not in control here, and you know, I want to live a good life, so I'm the same way, man. I just try to have hope. You know, hope is all we can ever ask for. Cool. Let's get started, man. First topic on the board, and one that is dear to me because this is my number one franchise player. I believe he's the franchise GOAT. I personally think he's disrespected on so many different levels. And to hear that Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, is stepping in to come help Penix this next couple weeks, years, whatever it is super exciting to me. And I think it's going to be huge. Cody, thoughts?
Oh yeah, man. Say I'm in the same boat with you. I think Matt Ryan is easily the best thing that has ever happened to this franchise. Point blank, period. I know Julio's great, and I know I'll get a lot of pushback on that. You know, it's funny. Bro Talk brings up being called delusional. I constantly get called delusional, putting Matt Ryan over Julio Jones in any kind of conversation. But Matt Ryan's a first round Hall of Famer. Dude is a superstar, but at the same time humble. Just a great dude, professional on and off. He's done a lot for Atlanta. So for me to see Matt Ryan, I've been a Falcon fan since I was 5, so for 30 years now. So I've seen a lot of players come and go. And Matt Ryan
hurt the most.
Always been, Matt Ryan is my guy. So to see that he's going to come in, help our young quarterback out, especially with the situation, because we don't know what's kind of going on with Kirk and the Falcons, is that the reason Matt Ryan's coming in? Is because Kirk is, being such a pain in the ass that we've got to call Matt Ryan in. But either way, I don't care what the situation is. If you bring in Matt Ryan, you're bringing in a winner. You're bringing in a guy who can teach your young quarterback to be a professional on and off the football field, teach your young quarterback how to, win, which is something that we have desperately missed since Matt Ryan's been gone, is winning. And so, man, I was so excited when I saw that news. And I thought it was hilarious that, we were talking about this Kirk Cousins situation, last time we were on. And that was my first suggestion, was give Matt Ryan a call. He's a phone call away. And then 2 weeks later, who do we start seeing? Matt Ryan linked to coming in and helping Michael Penix. So breath of fresh air to see Matty Ice coming back to help the young quarterback. Super excited to see Matt Ryan come in and help get this franchise back on track.
If this, in my opinion, after the way we treated him, if this doesn't turn the other fans around to say, you know what, Matt Ryan's that guy. Because he's still putting in the work for ATL, even though we kicked him out of the door the way we did, man.
Yep.
For fans,
you know what? We may not win the Super Bowl. Go ahead and put that number 2 in the rafters. Go ahead and put a Matt Ryan statue. He deserves it. Matt Ryan built MBS. I don't care what anybody says. Matt Ryan built MBS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Philip.
Cody's pretty much summed it up a lot. My first thoughts was, is Kurt being a diva? Is he being this type of guy that's not wanting to work around things? But, I'm not going to jump to that. I don't know that for sure. And I hope that's not what it comes down to. I hope not. But I also looked on the positive side of things. We got Penix. He's already, what we've seen these last, 3 or 4 games, he's a very talented, very smart quarterback at such a young age. Some people think it's old, but, it is what it is. He's smart, okay? He's a smart young player. And then you're bringing in a Falcon legend like Matt Ryan. You're going to add in pretty much what he knows compared to what Penix already knows. Just imagine how dangerous that could be for other teams. Like, this is going to make Michael Penix above and beyond. I'm not going to say he's going to be better than Matt Ryan in this franchise, but with the help of Ryan, it seems like Ryan wants him to be better than him. And I like that. That's respect. And only time will tell, but I'm excited at what, he learns from Matt Ryan and what he puts out there on this field this year.
Yes, sir.
Bro Talk, you've been a Falcons fan for a long time. What do you think Matt Ryan brings to the table that Penix can extract from him that maybe he might not have got from Kirk? Not saying he got it from Kirk, but what do you think he can get from that?
So, I think Kirk, just to touch on that, I liked Kirk coming out when he was drafted in Washington and what he did in Minnesota. I thought he was a little overhated. When we signed him, I thought it was a good signing. I know a lot of people like to gripe on the money, but the market was the market, and he was a middle-of-the-pack quarterback when he got paid. Of course, I would have liked the guaranteed money to be a little less, but here we are. But as far as Matt Ryan goes, I agree. First ballot Hall of Famer. I don't care that he doesn't have a ring. I don't care about the accolades. It's what he did on the field. If you want to bring up statistics, top 10 in almost every quarterback statistic on the positive end with the greats of Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Dan Marino, all those guys. So to bring someone in for Michael Penix, it gives you a fresh set of eyes, someone that sees the game like Michael Penix and can give you those little tips and tricks on what to look for, key tendencies from the defense. Maybe Penix is going to take the workload of checking the protection now that Drew Dahlman is gone. Maybe Drew Dahlman was responsible for that. Maybe that's being put on Michael Penix's shoulders. I don't know. But Matt Ryan is a great person to lean on to understand if a person's actually coming on a blitz or not, when to check protection, when not, when to get a hot route out. Like the possibilities, that's the word I was looking for, are limitless, especially because Raheem Morris worked with Matt Ryan when he was an assistant coach on the Falcons staff. So he knows his body of work. He saw it in Penix, and that's what made him believe enough in Penix to shock the world last year and take him at 8. Now you pair the two there, it's only going to speed up his trajectory because I do think Penix is going to be good. He's going to be good for a long time.
That's it.
And I also think, too, I think another part of being a franchise quarterback that doesn't get talked about enough until it goes wrong is the leadership and what you do outside the building. And I think Matt Ryan is an absolute Atlanta legend. Take him out of the Falcons franchise and just know what he did for all the charities and all the local things he did for the children and all of that. I mean, I've been to a Matt Ryan charity before. So that guy is an absolute legend in Atlanta, and I totally agree. And two, just kind of give Matt Ryan his love. I've been a Falcons fan his entire career. And if you break down his losses down at the end when it came down to the wire, I will say 9.9 out of 10 times it was either a coach or another player messing it up.
Yep.
A drop ball, a fumble, a bad route, a missed block. It was rarely because Matt Ryan made a bad decision. Now, he wasn't perfect, but I think he's a very sharp decision maker. And I think with Penix's arm, with a little bit better decision making, of course, he's only 3 games in. I mean, Penix has all the potential in the world to be really dynamic and really electric. So I'm super excited.
Speaking on Ryan too, with him coming in, him personally just saying, "Yeah, I'm hitting up Penix and I'm gonna come help you." I feel like this is kind of in a way like I don't know. Could we possibly see Matt in the building helping? I
was going to say, don't be
team?
surprised. Don't be surprised if Matt Ryan in the future doesn't become the GM or minority owner. He loves this team and he loves the city. So, if Arthur Blank, he's going up in age. I know his son's waiting in the wings, but Arthur Blank's already started to sell minority stake in his team. Don't be surprised if Matt Ryan takes a little bit of chunk, kind of like Tom Brady did with Vegas, or becomes a GM like John Elway was for the Broncos.
I would love it.
I think we would all love it.
Well, the other thing, and I know it's not something you could teach or coach, but man, if Michael Penix could have the durability that Matt Ryan had, Matt missed?
Good point.
I would say Matt, missed 3 games in 13, 14 years? I mean, Matt, you want to talk about takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Too. That was Matt Ryan, just the consistency, always on the field. I mean, you would almost have to have killed Matt Ryan to get him off the field. And it was, you just got to hope that somehow Matt can teach Penix how to keep his body in shape. Or whatever Matt's trick was, because let's be honest, guys, like healthy players in the NFL just really isn't a thing. But Matt Ryan was one of those guys that just found a way.
And Matt used to get taken.
Yeah, Matt used to get humbled.
He did. You remember was it 13, 14, and 15 where our offensive line, like the entire offensive line, got hurt in the preseason? Matt was dying every game. We're just like, we're supposed to be. I think it was right after 12. 2013, they all got hurt, and we were like, "Oh God, it was a horrible season."
Yeah, I remember a game where I think there was a game. As a matter of fact, I think was it San Francisco or whoever we were playing. I remember him taking a shot. I'm going, well, there goes Matt for the rest of the season, and Matt just picks himself up and gets right back up, and I was like,
knee out from under him.
And I was just like, holy shit!
It was sent for him.
He got up and kept playing.
Well, the wife of the host threw out a question here, so let's pivot a little bit. Now that Cleveland has Mr. Joe Flacco locked in, which I think that's a good signing. Last year when he played, he balled out. He might be the second half MVP. I mean, that guy went off. That means less potential for Kirk. So where do you guys think potential landing spots for Kirk? Is he staying in Atlanta? Could he possibly be traded? What do you guys think? We've talked about this at nauseum at this point, but now with this kind of changing, I thought Cleveland was really his only spot that was possible at this point. Cody, what do you think? Where do you think he can land?
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think Kirk was going anywhere anyways until probably, week 6, 7, 8. When you do have a quarterback go down but Kirk, this is the only thing I tell you, Kirk, is you better get ready to ride a bench for a while, buddy, because I don't think, knock on wood, nothing happens to Penix. And other than that, I really just don't see Kirk going anywhere. So he better get used to his role as a backup.
That's it. I'll follow up on that. I mean, my only guess, if I could think of a team, would probably be Pittsburgh. But here's the thing: why would they want you at the certain age that you are? And here's the thing: I think he's staying. But if you really think about it, Kirk screwed Kirk. Yeah. This is on you for being difficult to cooperate with. You wanted certain stipulations and you screwed yourself. And, we're going to probably pay you the $10 million. But after that, we can just literally after this season, we could literally just release him after that. And everything else is just doesn't matter.
Yeah, the money works.
Just a $10 million guaranteed. Whatever.
Well, as far as before the signing today, I had talked to people that have some knowledge, and it looked like Cleveland was going to be the destination, but Kirk was being difficult, and he made it flat out clear that he wanted to make sure Cleveland wasn't going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Okay, but they could still draft a quarterback in the second or third round, whatever. And it looked like a deal was already agreed upon, and it was going to be a 4th round pick that we were going to get for Kirk. But to me now, I haven't spoken to this person, but to me, it looked like Cleveland got tired of waiting. No. And they said, you know what? Joe Flacco's out there. We can get him for much cheaper. He knows Stefanski's system. Let's bring him in.
Super Bowl champion.
Yep. And then to touch on the Steelers, the only person that would vouch for Kirk is Arthur Smith, who apparently Arthur Smith was scouting before he was let go by the Falcons as the head coach. So Kirk could have been very much our quarterback with Arthur Smith here in the building. So if Aaron Rodgers decides to fumble that situation, there could be conversations come pre or post draft night for the Steelers. I think it's very slim chance. I think he's here, but the door hasn't fully closed.
Right.
Even with the Steelers, the Steelers are still kicking the tires on Aaron Rodgers. Last I heard. Mm-hmm. So who would you rather have, a Kirk Cousins or an Aaron Rodgers?
They're both coming off Achilles injuries and down years. They both played poorly last year, so it's who's
very old.
Look, you either get Aaron Rodgers' ego or you get Kirk Cousins, who's willing to listen. Kirk Cousins is a bit of a yes man, even though he's one of the best contract. He has one of the best agents when it comes to negotiating.
Bro, talking selling the Steelers right now. I like it. Sell the Steelers. Go.
Yeah. So
you really want his ego?
So and being in Arthur Smith's offense, we know it very well. It's a lot of 12, 13 personnel, heavy run game system to where Kirk doesn't necessarily have to be that guy. Aaron Rodgers' ego, hey, let me throw the ball. You know what? I'm going to check this play because I can, and my name's Aaron Rodgers. Things like that can happen. Now, granted, from what the insiders have told us, the conversations between Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers went very well, but he's still dragging his feet. This deal, to me, should have been done already.
Right. It's going to be one of those two because the Steelers aren't going to go. What, the Steelers going to start Kenny Pickett?
No.
Or what's his name?
I don't even know who they're backing.
Mason
Rudolph. Oh, God.
Minnesota can take his ass back.
Well, then people are still saying Aaron Rodgers might want to take the Brett Favre route. Minnesota's still not out of there.
It adds up. It does following the footsteps of Brett Favre.
That's why Aaron Rodgers potentially is not, signed with the Steelers, because he kind of wants to go to Minnesota because what if J.J. McCarthy's knee's not fully healthy? Yep. We're all under the impression that J.J. McCarthy is fully healed and he's going to be quarterback 1. But
This is a
what if he hasn't learned the
Achilles
offense well
disease.
enough for Kevin O'Connell to say, yeah, let's put him out there. Let me get a vet so we can still groom and get this younger quarterback up to speed. We don't know what's going on in the offices.
Right.
So
Not only that, but does he even have the time to come back? Is he going to miss OTAs? Is he going to miss this? Is he going to miss
Right.
that? And then does that set the team back?
right.
And it's going to end up with one of these quarterbacks is going to be sitting at home or waiting. Imagine
And that's what Kirk
Aaron
Cousins is
Rodgers
banking
sitting at
on.
home waiting till week 8. Oh my God!
Yeah, Kirk's banking on that. So if it doesn't happen, it benefits us for a trade to happen after June 1st because that's where the Falcons actually get some sort of savings and lower the dead cap hit. So it benefits us. That's why we're just like, okay, you don't want to waive it? Fine, we'll wait.
Yeah.
No
Well,
problem.
and who's kidding? And Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be sitting at home. He's going to be in his little dark out cave, with his dreams or whatever it is that he
Right.
does out there.
Are you welcome.
Right.
Bro, still trying some last airbender shit.
Cool. Pivot. Next topic. Oh man, this was a tough one for me, but I personally needed to see this video. Number 11, Jet, Julio Jones, said he's going to retire, recorded the video for the city. Me personally, I loved how Atlanta the video was. Now, Julio's a quiet guy. He doesn't have a lot of personality, so I wasn't expecting a lot for him. But the entire theme of his conversation, even when he talked about Tennessee and he talked about the Eagles, he said, I did it on 404 day. I did it for the city. He kept talking about Atlanta. And for me personally, that's the part I was missing when he left. When he left, it was like a girlfriend that just extracted and you never talked to her again. I got no closure. And I'm like, Julio, but you're my favorite player. And now you're wearing another jersey. So my boy made me feel better. So I'm bringing it back. Julio. Welcome back to the Ring of Honor. I'll wear my Julio jersey again. I haven't worn it since he left. I'll let you back in, brother. Because
I'm the same way. This is the first time I've worn it.
that's right.
And this is like this jersey means a lot because this was like the very first jersey I bought myself. Physically bought myself. I've been bought jerseys for Christmas and such, but this will mean a lot because this was the very first jersey I bought for myself, and
Right.
I literally wore it for a
Julio
season.
Because that was my guy. I mean, the whole city worshipped Julio, and for him to leave that way, I was just like, that was like a spit in my face personally.
No,
Again, I'm letting it die. I liked his video. I liked the way he left. He did it on 404 day. I hope he comes back in the Ring of Honor. I hope to see him in MBS. I hope to see him a little bit more involved.
I would love to see him work with Drake London one day, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Julio, man. Appreciate everything you did for us. You gave us the most exciting years we probably ever had, and we'll be forever grateful, man. So, Cody, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I was kind of like you, Rick. I was a little pissed at Julio, especially, just, man, I would say it's kind of complicated to put it in words because, not really pissed at him because, I'm a grown-ass man and, I don't know him personally. But, it kind of pissed me off that, him and Matt Ryan, when you think of the Atlanta Falcons, you've got Matt and you've got Julio. You've either got Matt or you've got Julio or however you got him. But those two are 1A, 1B, with
They're
one
brothers.
Exactly. So you can't think of the Atlanta Falcons without thinking Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So I was kind of pissed at Julio the way that he left. Especially when Shannon Sharp calls him, he goes, "Man, I'm the hell out of there, man."
He said, "No, man, I'm out of there."
As soon as I heard that, I was like, "Fucking really, Julio?"
Shannon Sharp did him dirty, though.
Yeah,
he didn't know he
Shannon
was on TV.
No, he absolutely didn't. But but then for Julio not to show up for Matt Ryan's, I went to Matt Ryan's Ring of Honor.
Me and you were there together.
Yeah, I was there. When they were doing the private Matt Ryan thing, and Julio wasn't there, and then he wasn't there for the Ring of Honor, and it sounded like Julio was more so upset with the Falcons he couldn't even be there for his the guy that made did Matt make Julio make Matt, but let's be honest, Julio wasn't Matt. Julio wasn't Julio without Matt, and it sucked. So, but then the video came out, and I was like, okay. I'm good now. I'll say I understand, So hopefully whatever beef there is, because it doesn't sound like he's got beef with Atlanta. It's not beef with the fans. It's not with Matt. It's not with
There's
any of the
one.
other players. It's
There's
the
one
franchise.
person. There's one
Oh.
person he didn't mention in his video.
Yeah. And
I thought about that too. I was waiting for that, and he didn't say that name, so that makes me think, which is weird because
yeah.
most people don't really have beef with him, so something had to have happened.
Yeah, something definitely happened. And I really hope that can be squashed. Philip said it, not me. I really hope that whatever beef may be there, that goes away, because, like I say, you can't picture the success and what this Atlanta Falcon franchise was from 2008 all the way till till the end of the Matt Ryan, Julio Jones era, without thinking Matt and Julio. Those two, if there's any two Falcons that deserve to have numbers retired, statues built, honors given, special, whatever, it's Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So it was really good and really special for me as a fan to see him come out and be like, I love the Falcons. I love the fans. I love my teammates. And so just hopefully one day, whatever's going on between him and a certain somebody is squashed, and that can happen.
We got 103 Atlanta Falcons fans viewing us live right now, 8:58 on a Friday night. Man, we appreciate y'all. Y'all could be spending your time doing everything else in the world. You're spending it here with us. Much appreciated. Drop some comments, drop some topics. We'd love to give you a shout out. We'd love to talk about what you want to talk about. Philip, Julio Jones.
Like I said, that was my guy. Man, this was when it broke down that yes, he retired. My instant thought, I let it sink in, and then of course Matt retired first. It makes sense. And then I broke out the news. I think it was Monday morning. I think it was. I'm not sure. It might have been last week sometime. I can't remember the exact day. But I literally thought to myself, "Damn, my childhood is gone." Like that was the end of my actual childhood. The last guy that I watched, this is a guy that I watched always from middle school to midway through high school. Like, and I was literally, there was a video I would watch nonstop of Julio, bro. Like, it was just like every day I would watch that video for some reason, man. It was just, just looking back at it, like I told Chase, it just makes it a more like a new meaning to it to me. And I had a little bit of beef with him, bro. Like, he didn't know that, but I did. I did. But I forgive you, though, Julio. Quinn Torres.
I think Julio Jones was like the 2010 to 2020 Mike Vick for the Atlanta Falcons.
Like
He was just a
100%.
human highlight. He was the super athlete. He was our hero. He was our guy.
This is a guy that I even 2015 we ruined the Panthers' perfect season. This is a guy that I did a whole little trend.
Show him the shirt. Show him the shirt.
A whole trend that I did on Instagram, man, and I won it. It's crazy. It was a 14-1 with the dab. It's just something special, and it made me mad when he left. And I was just looking at it. I was like, damn, how could it happen?
We'll get one more viewer, so we have 111. It's Julio, man. Come on. Julio Jones, number 11.
I've been put on record before. He was the best receiver in the 2010s, from 2010 to 2020. You had guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, even towards the end of his career. He was that guy. He was game planned all around. You can't speak highly enough about. He was a quiet leader, right?
Yes.
I think we touched that. He wasn't very outspoken. He didn't say much. He kind of just let his work on the field speak for itself and in practice. And all of his teammates raved about him, of how hardworking he was, the type of culture he was trying to bring that translated from Alabama. Nick Saban had nothing but positive things, essentially crediting Julio for creating the culture in the wide receiver room for Alabama. And for him to bring it to Atlanta, Matt Ryan, I think Matt Ryan kind of helped Julio heal a wound. If it was there, we don't know because we don't personally know him. But if it was there, Matt Ryan thanking him and bringing his name up alongside Roddy White, and even his best friend is Roddy White. So both of them may have had an influence in this. Like, hey, man, whatever you got to squash, man. This team, this city bought into you. And then he kind of maybe had a kumbaya moment and said, you're right. You're right. And that's why he waited till 404 day. I think, we like to say he doesn't have much personality because that's what we see, but his best friend Roddy is as personable as can be and brings out the best in him. So I'm eager to see what Julio does in his time in retirement. I don't think he does anything with the Falcons, but I'd love to see what he does elsewhere. Maybe he goes back to Alabama and, starts things there, because that's where his roots are. And that's where home truly is, even though Atlanta's his second home. So first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm thankful that I was able to watch him get drafted, witness greatness. And then, I can tell my kids when they grow up about Julio Jones.
Yep.
That's it.
Speaking about Julio and Roddy, have you seen that video where Roddy talks about how he used to purposely piss Matt and Julio off because he knew if he could piss them off that they would play better.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's the one thing I love about Roddy, and I think we miss about him was just the personality and what he brought out of, Matt, not only Matt, but out of Julio too. But yeah, I'll say those guys, man, that was just a special years for the Atlanta Falcons, man, when you had Julio, Matt, and Roddy.
I know. I don't know if we'll ever get that again, but hopefully, actually, I take that back. And let me give a little shout out. I know we like to beat Fontenot up, but the team turnaround from 2021 with the players we have to what we have now with Bijan, with Drake, with Penix, with all of that, to make that quick of a change and have that many superstars replaced and hit like they're hitting.
Yep. He's doing work.
He's got some second, third, fourth round draft challenges, but he built a team. So
he's definitely got
a young, talented team. Bright future.
I got a little text I want to share with all of you guys. My baby's waiting for me to go pick her up, and she's like, hurry up, Dad. So she sent me this picture to bait me a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see it. You can't that well. She's wearing her Falcons hat. She's trying to bait me with the Falcons hat. I think it's working. Next topic, staying on a little bit about Julio. I don't know if you guys have seen the announcement. Julio, Roddy, and Harry got a podcast they're dropping. I think three of the best personalities that have been in the Falcons franchise. I like listening to all those guys and everything they have to say. They were all great players, all had great experiences here with Atlanta. What do you thought? I mean, obviously they're a competition. They might win. I don't know. Julio, Roddy, and Harry. Cody, what's your thoughts on that podcast? You looking forward to it?
Man, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think Harry Douglas is one of the most underrated people. Maybe not as a football player, but dude is funny.
Hilarious.
I love Harry Douglas. He was hysterical that night for Matt Ryan's get together thing. He was hysterical, man. And just getting to see him. I know him and Roddy have been friends for a while and stuff like that, but dude, I cannot wait to see those two. What I'm most looking forward to is those two big personalities in Roddy and Harry, and the quietness of Julio.
Yeah, I want to see the real Julio.
To see what they pull out of Julio. We may see a whole new side of Julio Jones that we've never seen, boys.
I have
like when Tom Brady came out when he retired. You're like,
it's like, who's this guy?
Like, I don't know if you guys watched the 2014, 15, it might be 15, but it was Hard Knocks. We got to see the inside of the players. And there was an episode of the Hard Knocks. It was Julio, Roddy, and Douglas. We got to see a glimpse of what Julio really is because they went bowling. That was their
yeah.
That was their thing to do. And we got to see a little bit of like the fun side of Julio, bro. So I want to see a little bit more of it, like the real Julio. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna listen to it. I'll be there every week. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Drop it, I'll be there.
Bro Talk. What episode are you going to be the special guest on the Julio Roddy Harry podcast?
Yeah, I'd be honored if that happened. I don't know if I'll ever make an appearance there, but that'd be fun. I compare this podcast to another former Atlanta player, not Falcons, but Hawks. I think Julio Jones is going to be funny on the mic to talk about moments in the NFL, game situations like Jeff Teague If you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
have ever watched Jeff
He's
Teague's
good.
podcast, he is hilarious talking about his scenarios in Atlanta, Minnesota,
I
and
miss
Milwaukee. And I think Julio can kind of speak on that. Of course, they're probably going to give us the juicy stuff first. Hey, man, what happened? Why'd you leave? Did you know Shannon Sharp had you on TV? And we'll finally get to kind of turn that page, and we'll get to have the fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I think the Falcon fans, again, need something to enjoy when it comes to Falcons football.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right.
I'll
Yep,
say,
looking
is it
forward
going to
that.
be? Is it going to be better? Now, here's the real question. You think y'all, being unbiased, as Falcon fans, going to be better than the Kelsey Brothers podcast, right?
Absolutely.
100%. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's just me
I
being
love the
biased,
Kelsey.
but-
I love the Kelsey brother
I do
podcast. I
too.
think they do a great job, but I
right.
think
But
these three heads, yeah.
these
Yeah, I was
three
gonna
are guys that we've watched and we kind of know their personalities. We're just
Yeah, I
excited
can't
to
wait
see.
for
you
this.
know.
And Roddy's a spicy guy, so
Yes,
I
he
like that
is.
part. Roddy's going to be poking and prodding a little bit, so I want to see Julio when he gets a little bit uncomfortable and he's put under the gun on some of these topics. So I can't wait to see that. Harry's a professional now; he's been on TV a lot. So
Yeah.
all right, let's switch gears. Moving into the season, just had a recent signing. D. Alford, our starting cornerback, is back. What are you guys' thoughts? I like D. Alford. I don't know if I really wanted him to be second string. I was hoping, maybe we draft somebody or we pick somebody up, but I'm not hating on it. I think it's just a continuation. I think one of the things that I've talked about this a long time on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball, and in coaching, the number one thing this franchise is missing is consistency. That's the one thing I loved about Matt Ryan is we knew every single day going in, our quarterback was straight. On the defensive end, I don't know if we've had consistency at any point. The defensive coordinator is always changing. The players are always changing. And so, you know what? Bringing back another guy, throwing 3 brand new rookies that we draft, I think we need to have that veteran presence there, especially with losing somebody like Brady. So I'm not too mad at it. Cody, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I think D got a real bad rap last year because of the Minnesota game. I mean,
He got torched.
I mean,
I'm
in
sorry.
all fairness, it was bad. It was. But you also have to remember, D. Alford was the one who tipped the ball the second Tampa Bay game that kept
That's
us from
it.
losing that game. That was D. Alford. D. Alford was also a guy who saved a lot of touchdowns. And so, I mean, I'm not upset by it. I'm really not. I think that Minnesota game was just so bad people forgot about the good that he did. Because let's be honest, that Minnesota game was garbage. I mean,
For
he
every
looked-
player.
for just
I was
about
about to
everybody.
say that's
he
going to
looked-
add to what I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, he did. I mean, he looked bad.
Hey, but
I mean,
for the
he
record, when Kirk sat on the bench, it was a tie game.
Yeah, that's very
Remember
true.
how you like to remind everybody, when I sat down,
When I sat down, it was 28-28.
next time I touched the ball, we were down for a touchdown.
And to be fair, he's right.
He's
But
not wrong. Got to give a Kirk a little.
I laughed at that moment. I ain't gonna lie.
but I think D coming back's a good thing. I think I mean, how often is that Minnesota game going to happen to him again? Never, maybe one more time, but he did a lot of good too. And I just think that one was just so bad. A lot of people outweighed it. So, welcome back, D.
Yeah, I'll add up on it. I'm just reading a comment here talking about how he got cooked, but I'm looking like the year prior. Of course, yes, D got cooked this past year, of course, but we're having to think. We're thinking about different defensive coordinators. What schemes are we running? What's going on? How are things being ran? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I truly believe it was Jimmy Lake that was the problem. He made every one of these star players look like a complete fool after week 4. After that, everything just looked completely stupid. Even D made a point on Twitter. I've talked about it before. Even liking comments and then saying, "If you know, you know." It was a comment about Jimmy Lake.
He did.
If you
And
know,
I think
you know.
We talked about this earlier. I think when we listened to Justin Simmons do that interview, there was kind of some hints of Lake was the only person he didn't mention on the coaching staff that he looked forward to working with, which may or may not, we might be reading
Yeah.
too deep into that, but it's just like them not mentioning AB,
So yeah, D did get cooked, but let's just see how it goes. We have a new coach now. We have Ulrich. This guy, he's a smart defensive coordinator. people can say what they want and think how they want. It is what it is. What's done is done. I'm going to give D a little bit more in this year to see if he can improve from last year.
Go talk, D. Alford. You happy? You sad? You okay with it? Thoughts?
Personally, I thought it was time to turn the page on D. Alford. He had a good run, being a CFL guy that was brought into the NFL. Great year under Ryan Nielsen. Took a step back. I think to touch on the Jimmy Lake thing, I put out a tweet saying that Justin Simmons really didn't like him. And I'm not going to say the player, but there was a player from the Falcons that did like that tweet, confirming that nobody liked Jimmy Lake. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons that he was let go, besides their performance. But as far as D. Alford goes, I looked at his contract. It's not guaranteed money. I think he's going to battle for the nickel spot. It's not guaranteed that he's going to be the starter. I said we need to see what the final roster cuts look like. I think their plan really is Clark Phillips in the nickel slot. And pretty much the coaching staff is going to say, you got to beat out D. And if you can't beat out D, well, you're not going to be a starter in this league. Because D is the floor. The floor is low, right? Because D has a lot of tape on him. A lot of teams, if you look at it, are taking advantage of it. Back when Julio played, he was an ex-receiver, right? They were always lined up outside. Now you have Mike Evans lining up in the slot. You have CeeDee Lamb lining up in the slot. Do you really want D. Alford covering that? To me, Clark Phillips has a lot better mechanics, footwork, instincts, because he was a boundary corner in college. He went up against Drake London in college, had some great battles, so he can go up against bigger receivers because he has great instincts, great footwork, great closing speed. And honestly, I said if he was a little bit taller, he would have gone higher, second, maybe first round in that year's draft class. So the coaching staff is bringing in competition. I don't know if you guys saw Kevin King also got re-signed today. So it's even more bodies. I like that signing. I liked Kevin King from what he provided, right? When he was in there for dime, when we needed more defensive backs, he was a great run defender. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but he can fill in there. So to me, D. Alford, if he's the starter, I have my worries. But again, I try and believe in the coaching staff because it is a new coordinator. But again, I think the plan is still Clark Phillips at the nickel.
I agree.
I'll spin it on a little bit of a positive end just to help. D. Alford's going to stay on the team, so let's show him a little bit of love. Our D line and pressure on the quarterback was atrocious. Our linebacker play was very questionable outside of Ellis. And so I'm looking at some of his stats, and I'll give him some shout outs. He was 10th in solo tackles, 10th in assists, 11th in forced fumbles, 20th in stops, 6th in sacks, 11th in pass breakups, 3rd in receptions allowed, but 155th in yards per reception allowed, and 219th in missed tackles.
He just looked in coverage. He looked lost at times.
Yeah.
Now that you could take that into account. The coach wasn't teaching the scheme and what he wanted done properly. But at the same time, if he was and everyone else around him was getting it, and he was the one weak link, well, teams are gonna. What do teams always do? They focus on the one weak link and go after him until you make a change. You can say pass rush this, pass rush that, but if your first read is D. Alford and he's open and in 1.5 seconds, what pass rusher is getting there in 1.5 seconds? Unless they're unblocked.
That's right.
Yep.
So you got to take away the first read, and if D. Alford is the first read, it's hard for any pass rusher to get to the quarterback.
That's right. Before we move on to the draft, I saw a post that made me feel a little bit better. As you guys have noticed recently, a lot of tackles have been kind of mocked to the Falcons, thinking we might go offensive tackle at 15, which I don't think is going to happen. Our right tackle gets a lot of heat week in and week out. Caleb McGarry. I saw a statistic of the top 10 tackles allowing pressures, and Lindstrom was number 5, and McGarry was number 6. So, do stats equal reality? Is perception the same with what's really going on in the field? We could talk about this a little later, but Kyle Pitts had an interview with Cam Newton. He was on his podcast, and he kind of talked about that. He's like, if I listen to the outside, I'm going to be frustrated, but people in my room know what I'm doing. And I think that same thing might be going on with Caleb McGarry, and that's why we haven't made a change. It's maybe in the film room he's delivering, and maybe the fans aren't seeing it. Cody, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% true. I know I've kind of banged on the drum a little bit earlier in Caleb's career,
right,
about his inconsistency play, but I've also come out and said the guy keeps putting on weight and he keeps looking better and better and better. So I'm very happy with Caleb McGarry. I think you're right. I think a lot of the times the outside noise is a lot louder than what's actually going on. And you just I think that's kind of the unfortunate thing I think about Falcon fans is they look for somebody to blame. And unfortunately, Caleb McGarry just happens to be their guy.
I feel like it's forced with Caleb McGarry.
I do too a lot of the time, but
because of his early days.
Exactly. I think a lot of it is just people have got this, oh, well, he was god awful when he started. So no matter what happens, it's Caleb McGarry's fault.
And we traded up in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. So,
bro, I went to bed that night. I was so mad. I was so mad. I was literally thinking, "What the hell?"
This is another thing that I always like to talk about is as a Falcons fan, like we need Caleb McGarry to be successful. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have a left-handed quarterback.
Yep.
So we need Caleb McGarry to be that guy.
Yeah.
Philip, thoughts?
Man, Cody touched a good spot on it, man. Like he's improved to me. Like I said a minute ago, it just feels like the hate for him is forced in a way due to like his early career of him. He was kind of the reason Matt Ryan that time left the game in a boot, even though his foot wasn't broke, but he was the reason for that. Mm-hmm. And yes, it did make me mad. But since that day forward, I noticed he changed a little bit. He's put up a little bit more weight. Me and Cody and Chase noticed it at open practice in Atlanta. He looked better. He just looks more himself and just comfortable now. Like he knows, like he's, like you're doing this for so long in a new league that, I got that confidence in myself that I can go out there each week and continue to do better and better.
I don't know if
that's just the top of my.
But was McGarry the guy that gave up the sack that got Kirk hurt in the New Orleans game?
No comment. The
thing I've noticed about McGarry,
if
McGarry misses, it's a big miss.
Yeah, that's why he gets all the hate, because when it's bad, it's bad. But on that one with Kirk Cousins, he tripped on Lindstrom's foot. Lindstrom, instead of setting back vertically, he set out and Caleb's foot tripped. I mean, those things happen. What?
Was it Chase Young that hit?
No, Kirk? Peyton Turner that hit him. Walloped Kirk. That was
that arm
nasty
crazy.
Hit. But I'll touch on Caleb McGarry. I agree he has gotten better. One of his things coming out of college was he was a raw pass protector, meaning he needed to work on his feet. He needed to work on anchoring. He needed to work on his hand placement when it came to attacking a pass rusher, especially a speedy guy, because he's such a big guy, 6'7", 300 plus pounds. I think he's up to 320 now. And he was one of the best. The biggest thing with him is he was able to get to the second level and run scheme, the outside zone, which we run so heavily, is why we took a chance on him and let the coaches develop him. And now he's had Dwayne Ledford for multiple years through Arthur Smith's regime, now into Raheem Morris's regime. We kept the same guy. He's the run game coordinator. So that's why I think, yes, offensive tackle, if it goes, that means, the office knows something that we don't, right? Something going on with McGarry. But I honestly don't think it happens that we take one in the first round. If we do, it's because we traded back in, like when we got Caleb McGarry. Yep. But in that sense, that means you need him to start. If you're drafting a tackle in the first round, you need him to start. You're expecting him to start, which then what's the market look like for Caleb? I don't think it's out there. I think at best you get a 5th round for him. So why not let him play out his contract? There's the continuity with the offensive line. You work on your pass protecting, right? An offensive coordinator can mask the issues of a poor pass protecting player with play action, with rollouts, just keeping keeping those players guessing. We saw it in Pittsburgh. Zach Robinson, first-time play caller. TJ Watt wasn't worried about anything, and he went to work. Kyle Pitts, the chips weren't working. It got better throughout the season. It wasn't working. McGarry struggles at times with speedier guys. But I watched the film. He had some really good reps against TJ Watt. It's just, again, to touch on what you said, Rick, when they're bad, and they're in key situations too. So it's like, of course, it's Caleb McGarry giving it. The guy sucks. But they don't think about the 90% the rest of the game where he was actually doing his job. So I think
grades
against a Hall of Fame player.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, Yeah, and that's the other thing I think people lose focus on too is that when Caleb does get beaten, gets beat bad, it's by the T.J. Watts, and it's by these elite pass rushers who make everybody, even good players, look bad. So I think that gets lost in translation too.
What blends
Never,
into the
but never
background?
Cameron Jordan.
Well,
Yeah.
that's Cam Jordan's daddy. But what fans what fans don't understand is not everyone on your team is a Hall of Fame player. Not
right.
everyone on your team is an All Pro. Not everyone on your team is a Pro Bowler. You need them to do their job and be good enough to be a starter and help the team win. Right?
That's what makes teams get to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. What did
That's the best teams.
The Philadelphia have a bunch of guys. They have good players. They have great players, but then they have some average players that look better than they would. Honestly, Milton Williams got all that money. Guess what? His production is going to do. It's going to go down because he doesn't have homeboy Jalen Carter next to him. Right? How did Aaron Donald make Leonard Floyd look in L.A.? Right? All these All-Pro type players, Pro Bowl guys make everyone else better, but it's a team sport, and that's what fans forget. They just hyper focus on one player.
No, Floyd's going to be different, man. Floyd's going to show out.
I'm excited about Floyd. I'm excited about Floyd. He's not the guy. Don't expect him to be a 15, 20 sack guy, but I'm expecting 10 out of him.
I was going to say 8 to 10.
Pretty constant, like he has been.
Constant pressure, but since we brought up his name, I'll touch on this. When he said his presser, it needs to be like a basketball rotation. Not miss a beat when it comes to pass rush. Pass rush comes in waves, and I think that's what Raheem Morris is trying to build. Hence why we used picks 2 through 2nd, 3rd, 4th round on a defensive front, so you can rotate those guys in and out, fresh legs, and you're not missing a beat.
Yep, absolutely. And I think our D-line has good rotation. It's just missing that star power. The star power guy is the one we're missing. I think
that's who you take at 15, right?
Right. AK, please, Mike Green, somebody like that. Absolutely. I was going to say one of the things that kind of, gets wiped under the rug too is when people like Caleb McGarry just run people into the ground during the run game and he opens up the holes. How do you think Bijan breaks all these tackles?
My one gripe with Dwayne Ledford is I need him. I want him to mix up the running scheme. Whereas zone heavy scheme, if we can switch to a gap scheme, Lindstrom and Bergeron are very athletic. They can pull. McGarry and Lindstrom double teaming up to the second level can drive people down the field.
Ignore that. Ignore that.
So that's my only gripe with Dwayne Ledford. He's so outside zone heavy because that's how Arthur Smith was. I hope that Zach Robinson talks to him because if you look at the Rams, they use outside zone, they use inside zone, but they also use duo concept, sometimes power concept. And that just opens up the passing game even more.
Absolutely. All right, pivoting to our last couple topics, all about the draft. We've talked about defense, Jihad Campbell, Mike Green, every name you could think of. If the Falcons don't go defense, which would be a very Atlanta Falcons thing to do, who do we want? So me personally, I'm thinking about it. We could use another wide receiver for sure because I think we're one injury away from having a major concern at that position. When I think about the offensive line, I think we need a backup plan for Jake Matthews, and I think we need a center. I feel really strong about our guards. I don't think McGarry's going anywhere. Jake Matthews is getting a little old in the tooth, so we could use another left tackle. So I think we could draft somebody there. So I would say either left tackle or center would be a bigger priority than wide receiver. I think we could pick up a wide receiver later in the draft, but maybe somewhere in the offensive line. I like to build that depth. I'm kind of nervous about the depth in the offensive line, especially with losing Gallman and some of those guys. So we'll see, but I would probably say offensive lineman. I like to build. I think the one thing the Falcons haven't done a great job of as a franchise over the years is just building the trenches in general. I think offensive line, they started to put a little bit more, but the teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles have the strongest front defensive line forward, and then they draft another star in the you know what I mean? So I think we need to start stacking chips on the front seven. Cody.
Yeah, I swear to God, if we do anything other than defense, the only thing that would keep me from absolutely losing my mind is like you say, if you go get, and I can't think of a center or tackle in this draft that, is just like, got to have him, have to have him. But I'm with you on that. I think if you're going to find a way to ignore your biggest need that you've had for 15 years.
50?
15, 16, 17, 50. Since John Abraham, I think tackle or center is where you're going to have to go, but I still would lose my mind at that point. Like I'm still trying to wrap my head, but yeah, offensive line's about the only thing that I'd be okay with after that if you're not doing defense.
Philip, thoughts? 15. We can't go D.
All right. First off, for everybody wondering, that is our brother in the comments. Okay, so let's ignore him. Okay, but
We're Falcons fans. We're used to haters. Dylan, you're gonna have to try harder than that.
No, yeah, go watch CFU.
oh man, that's tough. I don't know. I really don't, man.
I know this is
That's what I've struggled with all day since we decided to come up with these topics. I still have yet to be like, yeah, I really don't know.
You gotta pick one.
There's some real trauma for us if you guys can't tell.
I would say I think I would go with the tackle though if I had to choose one. I don't know exactly who, but like you said, with Jake Matthews coming to an older age, you're gonna have to find a replacement soon because we never know what's gonna be like say an injury as well. You don't know if it's gonna happen at an older age or if it's just him soon is gonna retire because it's coming up. Let's be honest, He's up there. We don't know how long he's gonna play for. We don't know what his body's feeling like, but I feel like I'll be more comfortable with a tackle.
God,
I haven't looked at this in a minute. The depth behind Jake Matthews is not good.
What is it, Jake Matthews, and that's it?
I've never even heard of this guy, if I'm being honest with you. Killian Zerier.
It's going to be Storm Norton.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Storm Norton too.
He's a swing tackle, so he can go left or right. So that's going to be the main backup.
We got Tyron Wheatley. I remember him getting drafted. Bro talk. Can't go defense. Who we taking?
I'm taking a wide receiver. I'm taking someone like Matthew Golden if he's there. He reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase and the way he runs his routes. So pairing him up with a big slot like Drake London, a big slot like Drake London, and then Matthew Golden on the outside, and then you have a speedy Darnell Mooney who's still got years on his contract. That's it. I mean, Ray McLeod, I'm sorry, good things last year, but you've been demoted to returner at this point.
I was about to say, can you return some kicks?
Yeah. I mean, that's what he did. And, Ray did some good things, but if we don't go defense, I would hope someone like Matthew Golden is selected because I do see some things like what Jamar Chase brings. I'm not putting him up there saying he's going to be Jamar Chase. I just see similarities to their game.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, early on, I think I saw some mocks that had him coming to the Falcons.
Early on. I actually put out a tweet saying, stop disrespecting Darnell Mooney. But, like you said, I can't defend the Falcons because they keep doing this to themselves, right? Not going defense. And it is what it is. But if they go defense this year, edge rusher, Mike Green, please. He's my number one. Been my draft crush since New Year, in January when I first started watching him.
Yep, I think I was with him. Mike Green, Malachi Starks, I think would have been a good one, and I think maybe I had Jihad Campbell when I saw his combine performance.
Like Abdul Carter, but I know he's gonna be gone probably.
Yeah. All right, last topic. 15. Which one will piss you off? What's the one that you'll slam the table, walk out of the stadium, won't even watch the rest of the draft if they drafted the 15?
Running back.
I was about to say.
That's like the only position you can't draft. Like, what are we doing at this point?
Like that. I was thinking, what's his name, Jonty?
Like, I've been.
Oh, we take Jonty at 15. Oh my god!
Oh, bro, I would just be standing there with you guys.
If we took Jonty at 15 or Hampton or one of the other running backs at 15, I've been called, a Terry defender, which I kind of am at times. But at that point, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, it's time to go. It's time to go. If you draft a running back,
guys, what if?
Tight end.
They take a tight end.
What
does that mean?
What's his name from Penn State?
If it's Tyler Warren from Penn State, I'm good with it because he can run block really well.
See you, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Cody,
he can run block really well, and he can play wildcat for us too.
If they take this at 15, you're slamming your hat in MDS. Who is it?
God, on it. to be 100% honest at this point, if it's anybody but defense, I'm going to lose it, man. I am so sick and tired of seeing good defensive players. Now, granted, the Michael Penix thing, great. That was a big surprise because I was a big Dallas Turner, like, go get him. We need a pass rusher. Go get him. And then they called Michael Penix. I remember standing up thinking, oh, we got Dallas Turner. And then they said Michael Penix Jr. And I was like, the fuck?
Were you in the stadium?
Yeah.
That roar when they announced Michael Penix, I was like,
I couldn't believe it because I was getting excited, and then they said Michael Penix, and I'm like, why are y'all cheering? Like, we just signed a Kirk Cousins for $100 million, and now we're drafting a guy, and we still don't have anybody other than Grady Jarrett at this point to go get the quarterback. So for me, I'm gonna, again, offensive tackle, center, I'm probably not going to be as pissed, but if you go anywhere but defense here, I'm going to be like, well, Falcons do what they do when it comes to draft, and we falconed. So I hope not. I really hope we go get one of these. I don't care if it's Starks. I don't care. I want Mike Green. Mike Green's been, like y'all. I don't care, what the accusations are. He could get a quarterback on the ground. That's what matters to me. Go get him. Walker, I don't care. Go get defense. Please, for the love of God, go get
Keep
defense.
Jalen Walker out of the building.
I'll say something.
I think the Falcons need a guy with some troubles outside.
Yes.
That's the one thing we've been missing. Phillip,
Get me a bad boy in here.
if they draft this person, who are you freaking out on? Who's it going to be?
We named a few. I don't know, man. Like,
Who's replacement?
dog. Oh, bro, I'm telling you, a kicker would totally piss me off.
Oh my god.
If we
Unserious
pulled a Tampa
franchise.
Bay Buccaneers and got a kicker in this early in the first round, oh god, dude, I would be deranged. That I would just be smiling at you guys for the entire time. The rest of the night, just smiling.
What about this? I would say this could be an incredible Falcon thing. They draft Michael Penix as backup.
Oh, my gosh.
I would lose my mind, dude.
Shador Sanders.
You can never have enough
I'm just like,
I'd be,
Bro talk,
boys.
wrap us up. What's the worst draft pick the Falcons could pick at 15?
I mean, I touched on it. Any running back, it doesn't matter who it is. I don't care if it's Genty, generational talent or whatever. I don't care. We already drafted our generational talent in 23 and Bijan. And I'm with Cody. These allegations with Mike Green, it has to be Mike Green. Not has to be, but it has to be edge rusher. And I'm kind of in the same boat. When Michael Penix was drafted, I wasn't there, but I was live streaming, and I just remember my jaw dropping and just looking back at myself. I was just in shock. I was speechless. The whole live was speechless. Like, what just happened? Because I was pounding the table for Latu. Like, when Latu hits free agency, I'm going to be pounding the table for him to come to Atlanta, when that happens. But yeah, any running back, a kicker in the first round, I don't think that's ever happened in NFL history. I could be wrong, but that'd be, fire Terry the next day. Like, don't even let him in the presser if he does that. But as far as Mike Green, I'll touch on this. I'm lucky enough to speak to people that know people in the NFL, and everyone already knew about these allegations. They're just allegations. Essentially, it was an 18-year-old boy with a 17-year-old girl. Dad got pissed off, and that's where we're at. And people like to say, well, he did it again in Virginia. Well, yeah, he was still 18, and there are girls that are there that are 17, and the same thing happened. And the program, rather than trying to, navigate the situation, dismissed him from the team. He went to Marshall, and he stayed out of trouble. He learned his lesson and has stayed out of trouble. And all NFL franchises, not just the Falcons, know about this. He's open and honest, like he was at the Combine.
Mhm.
And honestly, I think he's at the top of their board. I don't care what anyone says. He's at the top of their board.
And the Falcons like a lot of misdirection when they're talking about their drafts. So they're never going to say anything about Mike Green like they didn't say anything about Penix. Now they showed up at his pro day and they had a heavy presence, and I think that kind of leaked some stuff, but they never said anything about it. And boom, they took him. So
Well, Rick, you mentioned it. Like, leading up to the draft, usually the person that starts getting heavily linked to the Falcons is the guy they're going to take and Mike Green has been that guy.
Yes, he has.
They consistently, ESPN guys that have inside information are continuously linking Mike Green to him. So if he's there at 15, I think he's the pick. Now, of course, a lot of things can happen before that. We have 14 other teams picking before us, so I don't think we trade up. So Raheem Morris put it out there. Whatever happens, happens, and then we'll go from there.
Atlanta Falcons Nation, DFU Nation, we are 2 weeks away from one of the biggest drafts in the franchise's history.
Right.
Because I'm telling you right now, if this draft does not hit and we don't get impact players from this draft, Terry and Raheem probably gone. And we're going to be doing a whole nother reset and rebuild. And I personally, that's the worst thing that could happen in my opinion. I do not want to go through another rebuild. I think it's too soon, too early. But they got to draft. They got to do their job. They got to sign free agents. But if we bust another draft without some strong impact players starting day one, like some of these other people are doing,
like we did in 2016. Let's be honest.
Yeah, man. That's
I hate bringing up 2016, but that was a very they hit on that draft. They hit on that draft.
And if we get a draft like 2016, I guarantee you we're hosting a home playoff game. Oh. I have a lot of confidence in this team. This team is better than what they showed on the field the last couple weeks. And I think we need some impact players. We need some consistency. And the Falcons will be back where I think they belong. So appreciate you guys. We had 200 people viewing us here at the end. Man, appreciate you sticking with us. I know Chase wasn't here. My first time hosting, guys. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope I did a good enough job covering for him.
Yes, sir.
I know his brother's a hater, but it's okay. I support it. Let's end up with who you got thanks for, what you're going to do this weekend, and let's close out. Me, like I said, I'm planning a birthday party. I'm going to watch some pre-draft stuff to kind of get ready for some of the guys that are coming out and, some Mike Greens and some things like that. So I'm super excited for the weekend. I think it's also maybe only the second weekend where we got some sun out there. So I'm super excited to kind of let the guns out, kind of get some sun, get some of that vitamin D back in my life, come back out of that winter chokehold I was in. But yeah, man, super excited. Thank you guys for letting me host Bro Talk. Thank you for jumping on. Cody, take us out.
Yes, sir. First off, Rick, you did a great job, man, filling in for Chase there. I say excellent job, man. Went smooth. You did a great job. I say,
a lot better than me.
Thank you for coming on, Bro Talk, man. I was like, it's always great to have new faces and guests coming on here. I would say, growing our brand, with other people, so it's always awesome to see. It's always great to see Philip and get to talk to Philip again. I wish we did this every week, even during the offseason. At this point, I don't give a shit if we're talking about Bijan's golf game. He was at the Masters, speaking of that, so I saw Bijan at the Masters on TV. Didn't know what he was saying, but, I don't really care for golf. But, hey, Bijan was on TV, so, that was cool. Shout out to, everybody watching, man. I would say, come watch us, man. We put out Falcon content, man. We're going to continue to put out Falcon content. Thank you guys for, watching. There's no reason to do this show if y'all aren't watching. So, I appreciate everybody that came in, liked, watched, shared, did all that stuff to other Falcon, for other Falcon fans. Shout out to the Falcons, man. I would say my thing is with this is like, it's always great to have something that you're invested in, to have a passion in. That other people are that you can share with, and you build that brotherhood. As far as I'm concerned, man, every time I see somebody with the Falcon hat, it's like, that's my brother right there. That's my sister right there. That's family.
Or like me and
on
Chase
Sundays,
yell rise up to them.
That's exactly, man. And so it's just great to have something that we have in common to talk about and to do something like this. I love it, man. It's like football's a hell of a drug, and the Falcons are probably the best, worst toxic relationship I've ever been in.
That's it.
Other than that, shout out to my wife who's watching. Go out there, go watch a movie with her. Weekend, got to work, got to adult, unfortunately. But other than that, guys,
tickets.
That's exactly it. But other than that, guys, rise up.
Philip.
Man, my first thing is always, man, shout out to God. We're here another day. We're blessed. It's gonna be a fun weekend, man. Getting ready to see some family. Do some little Easter things with the family. Some little fun there. I'm getting kind of getting a little pumped and hyped up. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm ready to watch WrestleMania next weekend. I'm ready to watch that. That's just something me and Dad always do. It's just something fun.
That's cool.
We're also going to be looking into some of this, planning ahead for like the draft. Obviously we're all going to be there. It's going to be a fun night. Can't wait to spend time with everybody there, and just enjoying the moment. Seeing who we select, and also just breaking down who I think throughout these days, who I think we're going to get. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? That's the fun part of doing this. But, it's just the fun and simple things like that, man. Thankful to have this opportunity. Everybody in the comments, just everything, man.
Yeah, we appreciate all the comments. Last but not least, we got Bro Talk. Y'all make sure y'all follow on Twitter. He got some great insights, some great conversations going. I'm always engaging with him, jumping in. He brought some great insights here to this podcast today with some of the things he's hearing around the wire, some things he's watching on film. Some really great conversation with Bro Talk. Bro Talk, take us out. What you thankful for?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rick, for reaching out. It was fun, guys, talking to a different bunch, someone else in the Falcon space. Just like Cody said, it's a family. We fight, but at the end of the day, we all root for the same team.
Man.
We all want the success of our franchise. And this was fun. And I wouldn't mind coming back on if you guys will have me talk some more football. And like I said at the beginning, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, I'm going to continue to drop draft content, not just Falcons, but NFL as a whole, on what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. And if you guys want to check us out, me and Berto, RI Falcons, on Wednesday night, we're going to actually have a prospect, Andreas Keaton, defensive back out of Temple, who attended the Falcons Pro Day today. We'll get to chat with him and get a little bit of insight on how his workout went and what he thought and, what he's hearing about his name throughout the league. So if you guys want to talk a little bit of draft, a week before with the prospect there, that's where you can find it.
Yep. Guys, I say this all the time. These other podcasters, these other content makers, they're already millionaires, man. Rodney Julio, they're already millionaires. Support your local guys, man. Help these guys out, man.
Help us get to that point.
Come on, give us some
so we can
followers.
give back to you, man. That's it.
Right.
Exactly. Pump your guys up. Real Falcons fans. Great Friday night. Appreciate you guys. 2 weeks away from the draft. We're super excited. We're probably going to have another episode right before that draft. We're going to have Bro Talk back. Appreciate you guys sticking with me. Chase, shout out, brother. Hope you fix your computer. Hope to see you next week. Everybody, thanks for watching, guys. A-Town, peace up. A-Town down. Appreciate you.